The opinions expressed by the host of the show are his and his only, but we do hope you agree with those. And remember, past performance does not guarantee future results.
We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation.
Welcome to another edition of Hobby Quick Hits. I'm John Newman, happy to be back. Looks like Wednesday's sort of becoming our day. Today's show is going to be about something I did from 1992 through 1996, 4 years, and that's Card Store. We're going to call this the Card Store episode. And what prompted me, honestly, to actually do this episode was about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer. My son, who was born in 2000, so 4 years after I sold my store to my partner, he asked me, hey Dad, would you ever do a store again? And he's asked me before, and we've talked about it. And so him asking again prompted me sort of, I don't talk a lot about my store days too much. I mean, I mention it, but I don't go into a lot of details on either this show or Sports Card Nation. And so, and it's not going to be just all about my store. I'm going to just talk about kind of card stores in general from the days when I did it and to the modern day where we're at now. And they're two different species, to be quite frankly. You got to remember, when I had my store in the 90s, 92 to 96, there was no such thing as breaking. The only wax getting open was by us, the store owners, or people buying boxes and packs from us. There was no random team breaking or pick your team breaking. It was either bought the wax or you didn't buy the wax. There was really no in between. And so the hobby is way different now than then. And obviously social media didn't exist, and not in the form that we have it now. And so I'm going to start out by kind of, going back to my store days. I'll try to stay as brief with that as possible and then get into modern day. So we opened the store in 1992, and I say we because I had a partner. I'll just give his first name. His name was Angelo. Me and Angelo became friends through the hobby. Kind of saw each other at the flea market, and we kind of made some deals, and we kind of just got to know each other real well and said, hey man, we should open up a store. And we found a location eventually. The rent was right. That's a huge thing. We'll get into that. And I was on the second floor in the village, and a lot of traffic. And so we met with the store, the landlord, and signed a lease. We signed a 1-year lease. And then we had inventory as far as cards go, and we needed showcases, we needed a cash register, we needed, I already had a few accounts with some of the manufacturers. You got to remember, in these days it was Topps, Donruss, Fleer, Upper Deck, and Score. And so I probably half of those accounts already from doing my shows. I was already on the show circuit. And then the other ones I had to get, because they were only offering storefront accounts. So now that we were getting the storefront, we could get online with these companies and buy cases of wax and that sort of thing. And so we needed showcases, and we needed, in a sense, we had two stores because there was two owners. He had inventory, I had plenty of inventory, and then we were going to have mutual inventory. And so we had to buy showcases, and that was not as easy as we thought it was going to be. We were hoping to buy some used ones at a lesser price that were in good condition, and we just had a bear of a time finding them. And the ones we did find weren't conducive to putting sports cards in them. We found some jewelry ones that we could have finagled with and maybe got some cards in there, but it wasn't good. So we wound up biting the bullet and we bought, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 new showcases. A little pricey, but again, split in 2 ways. So half as pricey as if we were going it alone, which we weren't. Me and Angelo were splitting those costs. And so we got the cases, we got our open date, and we had to get the word out there. So we had to advertise, especially being on the second level. We could put out an A-frame down on the street, but we could put a sign on the building itself, but we didn't have a big storefront. We had a glass window, but it was inside on the second floor of the building. It wasn't window as far as where everyone could see it. So we had a wood sign on the outside, an A-frame that we put out, but we had to let people know we were there. So we did some heavy advertising in the paper. There was actually here in the area, there was a sports card sort of local magazine, and so we definitely advertised in that. I wound up actually writing for them. I was already writing for them, so I just put an ad in there. I forgot even Trader something. It was called Trader something. I can't remember. Just a local publication, not like Beckett or Tough Stuff. Tough Stuff I used to write for, but this was just a local thing. And so I would write articles about the show circuit, what was hot, what was not for them. And so I definitely placed an ad. We did like a full page ad in there. It was very, very affordable. Again, just a local trader magazine. For almost like a swap sheet type of deal for the local area. So had that sports page of the local news, and I believe we did a radio spot. I don't know if we did the radio spot for the opening. I know at some point or another we radio spotted the store. And so we got the word out there, and slowly business started coming in, and we started to do, rather well. And so, again, there was no break-in. It was just single cards and wax on the shelf and boxes, and that was it. And, if we opened a box that we purchased together, myself and Angelo, any singles from that box would be a mutual card. So, for example, if we bought a box together of 1992-93 Stadium Club, and we pulled a Beam Team Shaquille O'Neal, which was a huge card at that time, we would put that in the case, and we'd have different labels. We had different color price tags for cards. If I remember right, the blue stickers were mine. The white were mutual. Any white stickers were both of ours split the money, and I think Angelo's was green. So I was blue, he was green, white was mutual owned. So if we had a card that was mutual owned and we sold it for $100, we'd obviously get $50 each after paying taxes and all that. We split the funds. If it was card from an individual box that he opened or a card he bought on his own outside the store, that was that sort of thing. And it's sort of a weird dynamic. Someone will come in the store with like a shoe box selling cards, and you guys buying, and we would buy stuff mutually, and those would become mutual cards. Or if he passed on something or I passed on something, but the other person was interested, we could make individual deals. So let's say I looked at some cards and I'm like, I'm not interested. And Angelo says, well, let me see what you got there. And if he wanted them after, one of us passed, he could buy them, and those would be his individual cards and a price with the appropriate color price tag. And so, again, we had mutual inventory, individual inventory, and the wax was all mutual. We didn't buy wax individually. We bought our cases from Topps, Fleer, Upper Deck, Score, Donruss. I don't know if I left anyone out, but we were getting those factory direct. Had to buy them by the cases, and so anytime we got an order form from Fleer or Topps or whatever, we just ordered the. You gotta remember too, guys. and ladies, there wasn't the products that we have now. It was pretty much, flagship of each, and then a mid tier sometimes, and a high tier. So a lot less product to buy than compared to in today's day and age, and so it was a lot easier to buy the wax, and with less choices, everything sold. I mean, it could have been sort of a duddy looking product. With all due respect, 92 Fleer baseball was terrible. But because there wasn't a ton of Fleer baseball as far as choices, it sold well. They as we all know, they produced a lot of it. And that's why there's still some left. But, you only had 3 or 4 different Fleer baseball products that year. So whenever a new one came out, people ate it up. And so we ordered pretty much everything, and again, that was a mutual. We ordered a case from Fleer, a case from Topps. We split whatever the costs were, and those boxes and packs that were on the shelf, we split the profit upon sales. And so that's how we set up the store. We were doing well, and we used to once a year do a huge giveaway, big sale. For every $1 someone spent on this Saturday, you get 1 ticket. All those tickets get put into a big tub, a big bowl, and we would give away cards and gift cards and also wax boxes. It was just a big giveaway, customer appreciation type day. We advertised that on the radio, and we advertised that in publication. And I tell you the truth, when we did that once a year, that day we literally, there was people lined up before we even opened the doors. It was a huge event all day. I mean, we were busy, tired at the end, but definitely a money-making day, or probably our biggest sales day every year when we did that. And worked and was very effective. We became one of the bigger stores in the area. And then, 3-4 years, still doing fairly well, but eBay came along, and eBay, not in the form we know it as today, it was an upstart company at that point, but really getting its foothold. Cards were starting to be sold on there. Now, this was the days before PayPal, so you buy a card, you'd have to send a check or money order to the person, and then when they got paid, they'd send you the card. Remember those days? If you're my age or close, you might remember. I mean, there was no PayPal and instant shipping and discounted shipping and any of that. It was the old snail mail and whatnot. And so, eBay came along, and customers were coming in. We had a nice customer base, but customers were coming in, and it's kind of what we see in today's day and age. Hey, that's on this eBay for $10, you have it for $15. Can you do 10? And so we were competing against this new invisible card store in a sense. And, we had a choice. We either kind of matched that price. I always would try to explain, hey, it might be $10, then you got to add shipping. You're going to wait for it here. The card is right here. And so, again, sometimes we would match prices, sometimes we couldn't. And, we still were doing all right, but sales were definitely, we kept books, and sales were on the decline slightly with this new eBay on the market. And, you got to remember at this time, 1995, 96, I'm 23, 24 years old. I'm still a young guy playing tournament softball sometimes on the weekends, and a lot of my friends, hey, we're doing this, we're going here, we're going there, and I kind of felt like I was missing out on things. I'd always have to say, oh man, I want to go, but I gotta be at the store. And that's the other thing. The nice thing with the partnership between me and Angelo is if we needed a day off, or we wanted to not come in a day, we would take turns. I'd say, hey, Angelo, can you be here Wednesday? And if we kind of make a schedule where if one of us needed not to be there the whole day, we had coverage. And so we never, one thing that was a bugaboo to me is in going to other stores is sometimes you get to that store, right, and you see that sign on the door, stepped out, will return at 4 o'clock and it's 2:30, right? And how many times I would come back to that store at 4:15, right? The sign says we'll be back at 4. I come back at 4:15 and that sign's still there and no one's back yet. And so we didn't want to do that. We always wanted to honor our hours and someone be there, one of us, if not both of us. He was married as well. I wasn't. And so his wife, Marie, would also run the store for both of us if need be. She was actually well versed in the hobby even at that time. And so one of us three were always there, sometimes all three of us, sometimes two of us, and we always had covered. And so if we needed a day off, but weekends we kind of always were both there. So weekends became tricky. I had to like play less tournament softball, and I was kind of missing out on things. I had to, if we didn't do a mutual show together where Marie could run the shop on the weekend, we couldn't do a show. And, and then eBay. And so I was missing out on some things being a younger man at 23, 24. Angelo was older than me then. And I just, said, man, I can list my stuff on eBay too, sell it that way, do shows, tour the Northeast, go to, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Ohio, all around the Northeast setting up at shows. Philadelphia, it was a place I went quite a bit. And so I, I mentioned, to Angelo that, if one of us, how would we do this if one of us didn't want to do the store anymore? Obviously, if we both didn't want to do the store, that's a lot easier because we take our stuff out, we sell the mutual stuff, and that sort of thing. But what happens if, one of us kind of doesn't want to do it anymore? And I think he sensed it, and he said, "Why, John? You thinking about you don't want to do it anymore?" And I said, "Listen, it's not you," and it really wasn't. I'm just feel like, I'm younger, I'm missing out on some things. My buddies want to go to this state and see this rock show, and I can't. Tournament softball, I've had to not play, and it's not your fault. I'm not blaming you, but I'm sort of missing out on some things being locked into the store. This eBay has come along, and sales have declined a little bit. We're kind of competing against this invisible entity, and he goes, let's meet after work, after the store day in a couple days, and we'll figure this out. And we did, and we ordered. I remember we ordered some pizza. We closed the store, locked up, did the tally in the register. And he goes, "What? You have any ideas?" And I said, "Well, obviously the stuff that's yours is yours. The stuff that's mine, I can pull out and put in monster boxes and take it out of here. And you can obviously fill those holes with more of your own cards as well. The mutual stuff, including the wax and the cards, we can kind of do a rough estimate and work out a price for that. And then the other things were just the stuff we had to buy to open the store, the showcases, the cash register, supplies." And so we kind of came to an agreement. We did all the tallying. We did it sort of on the weekend after closing, or in quiet moments when no one was in the store. We would start writing stuff down. And at the end, we kind of came up with a figure that he would pay me. He would own all the showcases that we bought together. Cash register was his, and any of the mutual inventory went over to him. He would keep the store going with Marie, and I was free to go on with life. It was no animosity. We kept in contact. I actually would come in sometimes and see how things were. And so I was out of the store and doing shows, playing softball, traveling to rock concerts, really sort of enjoying my early 20s, if you know what I mean. And I felt sort of free. I loved my card store days, folks. I really did. I wouldn't change anything. But, between the shows and listing stuff on eBay, I was pretty much doing very close to what I was doing in the store, but I didn't have to be in a physical place kind of locked in there, if you will. And as fun as that is, it's still when you have to be somewhere at a certain time. What do we call that, right? Sort of a job. And so I was kind of like making card money without the job part of it. You know, the shows were fun, traveling and meeting, seeing different faces and whatnot. And so, you know, it was something I had to do at the time. I wouldn't have traded the 4 years of the card store. And, you know, that was that. I got to do some things I didn't get to do when I was involved in the store. I stayed in the hobby, like I said, doing shows, traveling, eBay. And, you know, I transitioned to a lot of online and show sales. And that's the way it's really been since 1996. And, you know, I've had other people, even besides my son, that know I had that store for 4 years, ask me, you know, would you ever go back again? And so, you know, I'll get to modern day stores, and it's a whole different era. I mean, now you got breaking and social media, and to me, to be a successful store. So here in Syracuse, where I'm at now, let me just say this: we have one card store in all of Syracuse. Okay, I'm not gonna mention his name. I know the owner. I'm not a fan. Truth be told, and I'll be blunt. I've said this on Sports Card Nation. This gentleman is still in business because his father owns the building. His father passed away and left him the building to have the card store. So he has no overhead other than probably utilities, you know, electric, phone bill, but that's about it. There's no mortgage, there's no rent, so that's a huge overhead he's not having to pay. You know, I haven't been in there in many years, but kind of known for not being up to par with the inventory in today's day and age. And so, you know, not the greatest card store. If you read the reviews online of the shop, it's a long list of bad, to, you know, pardon my French. And so there's not a lot of card stores in this area. And, you know, you'd say, man, that's the perfect opportunity, John, to do it. But, you know, it's not what it was. I think card stores in today's day and age need to be more than just selling single cards and wax. You got to, you look at all the successful, and I'm going to give some plugs here, all the successful card stores, that well-known card stores in the country, if you will. You know, RBI Crew, Mike's Stadium Club in Colorado, Card Collector 2, Grand Sam Collectibles, and I know I'm leaving someone out, and I'm not doing that intentionally. But you know, a lot of these stores supplement their income with breaking online. And to me, like, the overhead is what would scare me from never doing a store again. And number one time, and I like I told my son, if I ever did a store again, Jordan, and that's his name, I would do it full time. You can't. I don't want to work 8 to 10 hours and then go to the store. I don't, and then be there till 5 to 9, and then come home, shower, eat, unwind, and repeat again. I want to have a life outside of work and cards, and I don't want to get into. That's why I got out of the store in the 90s, was because it was spilling into my life, and I couldn't enjoy things 20-year-olds were doing, and I was getting asked to do, and had to keep saying no, and an eBay factored in there too. Full disclosure. So I don't want to, so I told my son it'd have to be a full-time gig, and it have to be in the right situation. And so to me, I told him the only way I see myself ever doing a store again personally, and this is me talking, is, we're about an hour and 10 minutes away from Cooperstown, New York. And yes, I know they have some card stores there, but to me that would be the only way that I do a card store again. It's going to be in a high traffic, baseball fever city like a Cooperstown, where maybe you can get a building at a decent price. And that's another thing I'd probably do, is I would just buy a building, and pay the mortgage, but I own the building. I don't want, it's like renting a house and buying a house, right? You own the house, it's yours. Sure, you got to fix that, something goes wrong, you got to fix it yourself, but at least you're getting something for your money. When you rent something, like leasing a car, right? And I've done that, and I do that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking it, but when the lease is up, you've paid all that money, and then you turn in the car, or you can have the option to buy. Renting, you put all that money in the rent, and then when you want to move out, you got nothing to show for it. At least with buying a house or buying a car, it is yours, and has some resale capability. So I told Jordan, the only way I see myself opening a store again in today's modern times is, in a Cooperstown type of setting. A heavy traffic, heavy tourism, a lot of people there with sports fever, baseball fever, with money there specifically to spend it, and that sort of thing. Here in Syracuse, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking where I am, but it's in today's day and age where you can get everything online, instant gratification. eBay's, the prices have come way down. Shipping's cheaper and quicker sometimes, and to do a store and have overhead and take that risk, to me, you got to do other stuff. You can't just open the door, put some packs on the shelf, singles in a showcase, and think that's going to do it alone, because I don't think that model works. You look at a lot of these other stores, I mentioned they do breaks, they do trade nights where they invite everyone in to bring your shoe box and your monster box, work deals out amongst yourselves. I think you got to think outside the box. I know a lot of card stores now sell other things, and I'm not talking about even cards, but like apparel, and I'm not talking autograph apparel. I'm just saying they have clothing racks, and they just have different things to sell. And, it's one of my flaws. If I don't know about something, I don't really want to get involved in it, like selling wise and whatnot. And in today's day and age, you've got to sell soccer cards, Magic the Game, Yu-Gi-Oh! And folks, you could hit me over the head with one of those and tell me it's good, and I wouldn't know the difference. And so I don't have an interest. I'm a sports fan first. And that's how I got into cards, is being a sports fan first. And so I don't watch soccer. I don't play Magic the Gathering. I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Or any of those things. I don't have an interest. Someone said, John, you're leaving money on the table with that attitude. Maybe, but I'm selling a lot of baseball, football, basketball, and hockey cards too. So not a ton of money I'm leaving on the table. And there's only so many hours in a day, and I'm gonna go where what I know, and baseball, football, basketball, and hockey, and so to do a store, you've got to really open up your mind and expand your horizons and really delve into a lot of different things. And I'm getting older, not younger. I don't know if that's something I want to do. So if it ever happens, I told my son it's going to be in Cooperstown. I'll buy a building. Negotiate a deal, buy a building, maybe even where, you can live up above the store, and you have the store during the day to run. And if I ever did that in Cooperstown, obviously you'd have to incorporate braking in there, and the other thing is I'd probably, if you ever been to Cooperstown, what does every card store in Cooperstown have? Other things besides cards. They have racks of clothing, hats, new era hats, the legitimate on-field worn stuff, jerseys where people can buy. And so if I ever did that, it'd be Cooperstown, and I would carry those sort of apparel lines as well, and really kind of try to think outside the box. But the days of just putting the open sign on the front door, putting out some singles in the case, and some packs on the shelf, those days are gone, are to me gone, because all that stuff is easily obtained online at incredible prices, where you've got to offer something else. You've got to offer an experience to someone walking through those doors. You can't just say, hey, look, I have a Michael Jordan rookie. And as great as a Michael Jordan rookie is, there's thousands of Michael Jordan rookies online that available to buy if someone wants to buck up and spend the money. And so you got to have more than just cool cards. And having cool cards is great, right? We all want cool cards, and we have cool cards. But to do a store in 2020, you've gotta push the envelope. You gotta be different or offer different things. And so, what worked for me in 92 and 90 through 96 wouldn't work today. While we did very well in those 4 years that I was there, that model would not work. It's a whole different hobby. Anyone listening to this knows it's social media and breaking. The cards are different. 92, 96, we didn't have really jersey cards and autograph stuff. That stuff wasn't, premium back then was the 1993 finest, right? That was like the big, oh my God, look at these cards. They're metal, they're thicker. They're like metal, they're thicker, right? Today we look at a card like that and like, it's cool, but look at National Treasure, man. Look at this patch and then this autograph. Look at this one, there were no one-on-one. It's a whole different ball game. And so what worked for me for 4 years in the 90s would not translate to today. If I tried that business model today, I'd be an utter failure, and I'll admit that. And I'm not saying I can't change. I know sort of what you have to do, but my point is I want to do it. If I ever did it again, I'd want to do it full time. I wouldn't want to work and do it and have my whole day just consumed with two jobs. I don't want to work two jobs. Some days I don't want to work one job. That's what vacation time is for. So you get that break, or you travel somewhere and get away and decompress and enjoy time on the beach or whatever your thing is. And, I don't want to get in a situation where I resent the hobby or I don't like the cards anymore. And I think, doing a job and then opening a store, for me, it's just, I enjoy just going on my deck with a cigar and a beer and not have anything pressing. Just, close my eyes and listen to music and have my stogie with me and that downtime. And, I'm at 47 years old. I don't know how long I'm going to live. I did the mortality show. I was on Dr. Beckett's show about that. If I live to 70, and that might be wishful thinking. That's 23 more years. I want to sort of enjoy whatever that is, and hopefully I live to 85. I don't know, but you don't know, and so I don't want to be grinding 18 hours a day and sleep for 6. And God bless those who do. Honestly, and I'm not being derogatory. I just can't do it. I don't want to do it. I kind of did that stuff. When I had my store, I worked a part-time job too, and did that, and then did softball and traveling and did some shows, and so I was never home, and I just don't want to get in that. It's easier to do when I was 22, 23. I can't pull that off anymore. I'm not that guy. I don't have that virility anymore. God bless you if you do. And so. That's my answer when my son asked the question. And so probably not going to happen unless all the stars align right. For those out there that are in successful stores, kudos to you. I think doing it in today's day and age is a lot harder than when I did it in the early 90s. So my hat's off to you guys. What I did in the 90s wouldn't work today store-wise, and so it's just to me the stars would have to be again aligned right. And I mentioned with my son too, if we did that, and depending on where he is with his life, we could work together. I mean, but again, I told him go to college and make a career for yourself, and cards is probably not it. Okay, if you want to do cards as a supplemental income, that's what I do. And let's be honest, or I'll be honest, 2020's been absolutely insane and never expected it, and I won't expect that in 2021. I won't. I'm not conceited to that level or cocky. I've been in this industry hobby, if you will, 30 something years. I've had great years, I've had good years, I've had bad years, right? This is a great year. Next year could be a good year. Next year could be a bad year. Next year could be great again. I don't know. I wouldn't have predicted 2020 the way it's played out. So you just never know. And again, when you get into these situations, these are financial things. When you have rent and overhead, it's like buying a house, right? You watch all these shows where the people are house shopping. They're reality TV shows, and the realtor says, "Okay, what's your budget?" And they're like $250,000, and then they show them, looking at 4 houses, right? And then they have to pick one at the end of the show, right? And then sometimes the realtor says, "I know your budget's 250, but this house is great. It's 300. At least look at it, right?" It's sort of that thing. Do you want to get in where the pressure is really on? Like, man, I want to do this, but I could be upside down in this and in a bad financial shape afterwards. And so cards are fun. Card stores are fun. I won't argue with that. It's the same argument I make with opening wax. I'll never tell you opening packs left and right isn't some of the most fun stuff you can have in the hobby, right? And then the music end stops, right? All the rappers are on the floor. You got a stack of cards. You spent 4 figures opening all these packs or the case, and then you look at what's really left and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make my money back, right? It was fun opening it. Same thing with a store. It's fun. It's fun interacting with customers, and then, are you going to be able to pay your bills? Overhead is huge. And, even when I had my store in the 90s, we got a really decent deal with the overhead. Again, I had a partner, so everything was cut in half. When we spent, and I don't even remember for sure, I don't know, $3,000 on showcases for 6 showcases. It only cost me $1,500 and Angelo $1,500. If I would have went in that store solo, that's $3,000, right? Rather than $1,500. And so, that's a factor too. If you're going in solo, everything is you, right? You ain't looking behind you. Hey, we splitting this? There's no one there standing there to help you out. And so it's a different era in the card hobby, and I'm not complaining. I love the hobby. Why do I do all the podcasts and the content I do? Because I love the hobby. But I'm also wise to the financial aspect of what we're dealing with. And so as much as, someday I'd love to do a store again, right? But for me, it had to be full-time. I could not split any duties between a job. So I guess maybe, I could do a store when I retire. I don't know how long I'm going to live after I retire, though. That's, not to be morbid, but, and maybe when I retire, I want to go somewhere, warmer and maybe Savannah, Georgia, and live out the rest of my years somewhere like that. So, I don't know. I'm just speaking from my experience. Again, going back to sort of where I was before I went off on a little tangent, to the stores that are doing it and making it and successful. Hats off to you, because again, I think it's harder to do in today's economy and day and age, and the way the hobby's changed. I had it fairly easy. Not a lot of products. I got in a good deal with overhead, split in half, so costs were cut in half, and we did well. Again, that model would probably not necessarily work today. And so, for those guys that are and ladies that are doing it, and again, kudos to them. It's not easy, and the competition's more fierce because you have more online selling platforms for people to buy their wares from. The ComCs, the Star Stocks, eBays, Sport Lots, right? I was just competing with eBay and the other card store that was 2 miles away. That was it, 2 people. And eBay, not at first. I mean, when we first opened the store, it was just the other card shop, right? now you're competing against all the, and then we got websites, right? You got individual websites. At Newman Sports Cards, I sell quite a bit of cards from that website. And so that's in a sense a store without walls. And so to do a store in today's day and age, you know, you gotta have a little luck. You gotta be smart, and you gotta have a little luck too. I don't think just being smart is actually enough anymore. I think you're gonna have to get in to the right situation and have a couple things bounce in your favor too. And you know, and listen, again, as someone who started working in a card store at 14 years old and then opened his first one at 20, card stores will always have a place in my heart. I love them. I'm sad that we have a lot less in 2020 than we did in 1992, and we do. I don't care what anyone tells you. There are a lot less in 2020. There's more people in the hobby. There are a lot less card stores. Okay, there's a difference. There's less brick and mortars now than in 1992 when I first opened mine. There might be more people in the hobby, but less card stores. Card stores will always be near and dear to my heart. I root for anyone that's opening it up. You know, I've said to anyone I know that's opened a card store, if you ever want to ask me anything, you know, again, what worked in 92 may not work in 2020, but some of the business acumen that I do just have in general, not even so much for my store days, but just still being a seller in today's marketplace, I may be of some assistance there. But again, that's just kind of my view on the card store. And what made me do the show, like I said, was the few times my son would bring it up, and just thinking about how the landscape has changed from 1992 to 2020. So follow your dreams. I don't want to be I'm not a dream crusher. You know, go for it. You know, put in the work, do your research, do your homework, and you know, I hope you're a success. I root for people. I'm a people person. I root for people. It's a really bad look to not root for people. That's usually something internal not right with you. You're just an unhappy person who just rooting for other people to be unhappy. I try not to really do that, and I don't. And so if you're opening a store, thinking about opening a store, you're running a store existing, I'm rooting for you. I come from a card store background. I think they're important to the hobby. They're a bridge to the past, and I never want to see a day, and we'll never have a day like that, but I never want to see a day where everything is just online and you can't walk in somewhere and have that card in your hand. And I know we have that at shows. Obviously, with the pandemic going on, that's not the way it used to be. But there's something about going to a card store, talking with the store owner, whether you're talking about, hey, man, did you see Luca last night or whatever? You know, man, Jose Abreu hit 3 home runs. You got any of his cards? What do you got for rookies? You know, and he points you to a section in the showcase. Hey, here's some Abreu stuff right in this area. Here's where I keep my Lucas. I hope we always have those opportunities. Stores are important. They still are important, even in the online commerce world. They are for socialization, having that stuff, instant gratification right there. We don't have to wait, 3 to 7 days or longer for something to come via the mail that you ordered online. And I root for everyone that's doing it, going to do it, or is doing it. So with that being said, we went long today. I apologize if you were thinking we were going 20 minutes. We times that by 2, but I appreciate you listening. I hope you found things interesting. If you enjoyed the show, as always, please give us a positive review if you're so inclined. And again, thank you for hanging with us today. We'll see you on the next Hobby Quick Hits.
Happy trails to you till we meet